are going to begin this half hour with the judge in the Casey Anthony murder trial speaking out about the case publicly for the first time. We will talk to him in a moment, but first, here's NBC's Kerry Sanders.
My name is Belvin Perry, Jr.
As the courtroom referee, Judge Perry was polite.
Good morning, ma'am. Are you juror number 4191?
Often genial.
Okay.
But always direct.
Can you tell me any reason why you should not be held in contempt of court? Enough is enough. Here we go again.
He told the jury his job was to ensure a then 25-year-old Casey Anthony, accused of murdering her 2-year-old daughter Kaylee, receive a fair trial.
A photograph that is not in evidence.
Keeping order would at times test his patience.
What you're basically saying, sir, is that you can pick which court orders you comply with and which court orders you don't comply with. And this is not a game.
The judge is a native of Orlando. His father was among the city's first black police officers. Perry, a one-time prosecutor, became Orange County's first African-American chief judge. During the Casey trial, there was a premium on seats in his courtroom. From around the world, hundreds lined up every day for a must-have ticket. The scene outside in sharp contrast to the order inside the courtroom. For many, this was a reality show, not the hallowed halls of justice.
I've been watching. I tape every episode.
Our family's at Disney World, but this was more exciting for me.
Because of Facebook and Twitter, the Casey Anthony trial was dubbed the nation's first social media trial. And on Twitter, Judge Belvin Perry was nicknamed the Velvet Hammer. For today, Kerry Sanders, NBC News.
And Judge Belvin Perry Jr. is with us now. Judge Perry, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Savannah.
Well, when you were in the middle of it, did you realize what a sensation all of this was?
I had no earthly idea that it would command the attention that it did worldwide. It was truly a fantastic experience.
Well, you had a vantage point very few have, in particular on the defendant, Casey Anthony. And I wonder what your impression was of her, both in front of the jury and then other times that the rest of us didn't see.
There were two sides to Casey. There was the side that was before the jury where she portrayed the role of a mother who had lost a child, someone who was wrongfully accused, and then you could notice the change and transformation in her when the jury went out. She was very commanding. She took charge of different things, and you could see sometime her scolding her attorneys.
Did you think she was manipulative?
Very manipulative.
You almost suggest she was rather two-faced or putting on an act in front of the jury.
Well, there was always two sides to Casey. There was the public persona that she wanted the jury to see, and there was that side that she showed when the jury was not there.
And there was a moment when her lawyers came to her to discuss potentially taking a plea deal, pleading to a lesser charge. And she had quite a reaction to that. Can you tell us about it?
I will never forget that day. One Saturday morning before we were about to begin our session, the lawyers wanted some time to discuss a possible plea to aggravated manslaughter with Casey. They went back in the holding cell, and of course the waiting area for me was by the holding cell, and all of a sudden you heard shouting coming from the holding cell, some 4-letter words coming from the holding cell, and she was quite upset, so upset that one counsel suggested that she was incompetent to proceed.
Did you think there was sufficient evidence to convict her in this case?
One of the things that I had to do was to decide whether or not to send this case to a jury. Yes, there was sufficient evidence to sustain a verdict of murder in the first degree in this case.
What did you think when you opened the envelope and read that verdict?
Surprised, shock, disbelief.
I think you told me you read it twice.
I just wanted to be sure I was reading what I was reading.
And when you say that, is it because, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but did you think that the prosecutors had proved her guilt beyond a reasonable doubt?
As to the charge of aggravated child
Yes, I thought they had proved a great case, but you got to realize this was a circumstantial evidence case. And all the defense had to do was create that reasonable doubt, and that's what they did.
You've told me before you thought this ultimately was a close case on the evidence because of some of the deficiencies in the evidence. And when you have a close case, sometimes the lawyering really matters. What did you think of the lawyering in this case?
Well, the state had better lawyers, but Mr. Baez was very personable, and he came across as someone that you would like. It's like somebody trying to sell a used car. Who are you going to buy it from? The most likable salesperson.
Do you think it was good for the justice system that there were cameras in the court, that this was such a widely followed case?
Well, in Florida, we've always had cameras, and I think people need to know how their justice system works, and that's the only way it can work.
You look at somebody like Casey Anthony. She's out. She's been acquitted. She's free under the law, and yet she lives in hiding. She can't really go anywhere. She apparently can't make a living. In your mind, has justice been served to her?
Well, justice has been served in the sense that the jury has spoken, but justice will finally be served one day by the judge of judges. And she's going to have to live with this and deal with this for the rest of her life.
Well, Judge Pelvin Perry Jr., it is good to have you in person here, sir. Thank you so much for bringing this pretty unique perspective on the case.
Thank you.